We had another awesome trading week from the daily market breakdown videos. Now let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. Alright, as usual, starting the forecast off with the DXY, the US dollar index. We will be doing a top-down approach here. Now, there is no trend on the weekly chart. We are still waiting for this high to be removed, and honestly, I would love that, because if we do get that high removed, we will have a beautiful weekly trend to the upside with a very clear profit target up to supply at 110. So I would be looking to fill in that gap only if we can remove that high, which would give us that weekly trend. I know a lot of you guys probably aren't looking at the weekly trend, so at least let's go to the daily chart here. You can see also there is no trend. We've kind of just been going sideways, since basically May, and it's been a little bit confusing. We did have a daily demand zone in control, and we have basically shot up off of that demand zone. So the next thing we are looking for basically is the removal of this high, because then at least at that point we will have a daily uptrend. We'll be able to connect some sort of trend line here, and we will have a daily uptrend with clear direction. Now, since the daily demand is in control, I am favoring more US dollar longs. It doesn't mean I'm gung-ho about US dollar longs. I'm not, oh wow, I gotta get in long the US dollar so bad, because again, there is no trend. But if we again continue with the the multiple time frame analysis, you can clearly see we have a pretty clean and consistent 4-hour uptrend here, in my opinion. We had a proven supply zone remove, leaving us with demand at 105.69. It is not great. Definitely not an area I'm like, it's definitely going to move off the zone, but it is a demand zone, and we do have a trend to the upside. So in my opinion, this is looking pretty strong, at least on this time frame. So I am pretty bullish on the US dollar. What I think we could see, if you just want to talk about the DXY, is potentially a pullback down to 105.62, down to this little drop base rally area of demand. So we could see some weakness in the US dollar just for a bit, but don't get confused by that. Don't say, if we see the dollar drop, down to the 105s, don't worry about it. We do have some demand on the 1-hour chart that we could easily react off of like that, and even good demand down here that broke the trend line at 105.35. So I think we will struggle to break both of these demand zones, and if we do, well, that'll probably lead to more confusion. I hope we don't, because the trends are looking nice. So that's what I'd be looking for here in the DXY. Overall, it is looking strong, not super strong. If I were to say it was looking super strong, it would mean we have at least a daily trend and a weekly trend, which we do not. We just have sideways markets, which means we are basically just looking at the 4-hour and the 1-hour trend. So it is strong, but it's not super strong. But at the end of the day, like I said, looking pretty good. As long as these trend lines are holding, I would be expecting the US dollar to continue to go up. If we in fact break this upward trend line on the 4-hour chart, then at that point we kind of have to second guess how strong the US dollar really is. Alright, on to the EURUSD, but really quick, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. All of the ad revenue generated from these weekly Forex Forecast videos is donated to my local hospice charity. So every like, every share, and every subscribe helps. So make sure you do that if you want to donate to the charity. It's for a good cause. So anyways, looking at the euro here on the daily chart, again, just sideways action. We couldn't quite hit this daily supply. On the daily chart, we are kind of contacting the lows at this point. We are getting there. So yeah, of course, just like we've seen a couple days ago, we did see some strength in the euro. We could see it again, but ultimately, I kind of am thinking we will be continuing to go down. And why do I think that? Well, because of this 4-hour trend to the downside. So as long as this 4-hour downward trend line is holding, I think it's fine to look for day trading shorts, which means, if we start to test the trend line and we close above it, then at that point, the 15-minute time frame shorts that I said we could look for, at that point, I would be waiting, and what I would be waiting for is this beautiful drop-base drop 4-hour area of supply at 1.078. So if we do, let's say you could be looking for 50-minute shorts there, and that'd be great, as long as the trend line is holding, like I said. But if we break to the upside, we do have supply above, we could definitely see a reaction off of. And I also like the supply above at 1.088. I am going to make it just a little bit larger there, because I think we could see a move off of it. I like the potential trap setup here. So yeah, this is the better supply zone as far as the look of it goes. But even if we do break this supply, that's fine. We could definitely see a move off of the supply above on the 4-hour chart. Alrighty, on to the forecast for gold. So we're going to start off with the daily chart here. Remember, we did, the past few weeks now, we did in fact lose momentum here. We had a beautiful daily uptrend. we broke the trend, created a daily supply at 2407. That's still fresh. And what I mean by fresh is it hasn't been tested yet. If it wasn't fresh, it would have come in and at least wicked it, something like that. So it is still a fresh zone. I still think we could see a move off this zone. I'm just more talking for a long-term perspective. But you're going to have to stay tuned for more videos if we do start to contact this supply, like I said. We do have a daily demand zone down at 21.98. I think we easily could be headed down to there. We have some sort of support here. We easily could break that support and hit this daily demand zone. That is kind of what I'm thinking, we could see here on gold. And even on the weekly chart, we do have a weekly demand at 22.19. So this is a very higher time frame demand zone. Beautiful rally-based rally. Nice tight basing. I love it. I personally will be looking for longs down at that weekly area of demand for swing trading. And the reason I think we will be headed down to that daily demand and potentially seeing a pullback is, well, look, we had a trend to the downside on the 4-hour chart. So I was already thinking we will be pushing down to that that weekly daily area of demand. And, we did actually end up breaking the downward trend line, and it left us with the demand zone. But this on Friday, we actually broke this demand zone perfectly. Like, it didn't even react off of it at all. So what that shows to me is, okay, we had a downward trend line. It was removed, which is significant, especially since the weekly trend is up. But since we didn't even react off of it a little bit, we just blasted right through it. So what this shows me is it was most likely some sort of fake out. I don't know how much I believe in those, but it definitely was some sort of fake out just based on how I'm looking at it and the trend line. Now, we could easily push down to that weekly demand from here. That's definitely possible. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a rally up, actually break this supply and react off the one above at the 23.73 area. That would be the move I would be looking for. But of course, there is a level on top of level here, 2 supply zones. We could be seeing moves off of any one of these zones. And if you can't pick, let's say some of you guys might want to pick this supply zone a short, and some of you guys might want to pick this supply zone. Some of you guys might actually look to trade both. If you can't pick, you could always just look for day trading shorts on a 15-minute time frame coming off of either one of these 4-hour areas of supply. Now, we did actually get a beautiful 1-hour supply zone trade right here off of this beautiful 1-hour supply zone that actually removed a trend line. Beautiful move off of that zone, and that was called out in the daily market breakdown videos. If you guys want access to these daily forecasts throughout the week, basically what I'm doing here on YouTube, but every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, check it out. Links in the description down below to the Diamond membership. We have lifetime access available as well, video lessons, private Discord groups, Sunday Zoom sessions, and forecasts, and much more. So we'll be happy to see all serious traders join the team and get my analysis throughout the week. So this is the 1-hour chart of gold. Not much to go off of it as of now. Yeah, we could see the move off of the 1-hour supply above, but honestly, going back to the 4-hour chart, I would rather focus on these 2 very clean looking 4-hour supply zones that we could potentially look for shorts. And always, if we break this low here, at that point we will have an H4 downtrend. And at that point, we could add 15-minute time frame shorts to our trading strategy on gold. And remember, guys, long-term profit targets, all the way down to at least 22.19, in my opinion, down to the weekly and daily areas of demand. Alrighty, on to the USDJPY. Now, I have my 4-chart layout here, which I highly recommend you guys use. You do have to pay for it, but honestly, I think it is very, very worth it, in my opinion. Now, the reason I have the 4-chart layout visible is because I want to show you guys the upward green arrow on all 4 time frames. This thing is looking really, really strong. It looks like we are about to break all-time highs again, but I'm not really concerned about being at the high right now. I personally think we will be going up here on the USDJPY. Now, if we do start to break to the upside on the higher time frames, we will have some more zones to go off of. But for now, what I will say, it is longs all the way here on the USDJPY, which means if you trade on the 4-hour chart, if you trade on the 1-hour chart, if you trade on the 15-minute, 5-minute, 1-minute, 2-minute, 3-minute, 12-minute, whatever you like to look at, it is longs all the way. So as long as this 4-hour trend line is holding here, we could be looking for longs. Now, once we remove this all-time high here, we will have new zones to the upside to go off of as well. But in the meantime, all I can really say for now is, like I said, longs on any time frame. The only real zone I'm seeing is this beautiful rally base, rally demand zone of the 159.09 area. So if we do get a pullback down to this 1 hour zone, we definitely could see a move off of that 1 hour area of demand. If you don't feel comfortable, maybe you think we're going to pull back a little bit deeper, that's fine. You could look for a confirmation trade, which means you set an alert at the zone. Instead of placing an entry with a stop below and a take profit above, you set an alert at the zone, and then you look for a 5-minute time frame confirmation demand zones being formed as we contact that 1 hour area of demand here on the USDJPY. So again, it's longs all the way. There's no need to confuse guys other than that. Unfortunately, the only zone I'm seeing is this 1 hour demand zone. We will have more zones, like I said, if we do in fact break this high here. So what you could do is map out this high, and like I said, if we do remove that, any 4 hour demand zone there, we could be looking for longs off of as well. So probably throughout the week, if we continue to see some more bullish price action in the daily market breakdown videos, I'll probably have some more zones to point out here in the USDJPY, but it's longs all the way, especially if you are a day trader here in the USDJPY. All right, on to the forecast for the GBPUSD. And as always, guys, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on the pound. Let me know in the comments. So I'll let you guys know my thoughts. I've been pointing out this daily demand, this rally base, rally area of demand at 1.259. And clearly we are headed to there. I think that is the clear profit target to the downside. Do I think we will react off of the zone? I think it's definitely possible. Nothing is 100%, but I think it is a quality rally-based rally demand zone. At minimum, I think we'll at least react off of it, a little bit. Do I think we're going to go to the moon from here? Probably not, but, I think the idea of prices blasting through the zone and seeing no move is pretty rare, in my opinion. And that is why I was looking for potential shorts off of this supply zone here. Now, if you guys remember from a couple weeks ago, I did point out this 4 hour demand zone here. I wasn't long at this demand zone. I ended up bumping my stop into the profit. Into the green rather, and I was stopped out for like a 1-to-1 or something. Or no, actually I was stopped out for break even. That's my bad. I forgot about that. That was oil I was long on that stopped out for like a 1 or 2-to-1. But I was stopped out at break even. Once we got that big enough move here, I was actually stopped out at this demand zone here. And I was actually looking to get in short at this supply at 1.27. We just missed it, so that's pretty unfortunate. But at the end of the day, we have a beautiful 4 hour downtrend, which means 15-minute time frame shorts are okay. Now, what I don't like about this trend line is it's pretty steep. It's an aggressive trend line. The angle, it's pretty. I'd prefer a trend line like this. This one's a little bit more steep, which means it's easier to break, which means, if we do break it and we pull up to the supply, I still think it's decent at 1.27. I still think we could get a reaction off of it. However, if we contact that daily demand zone that I pointed out earlier first, and then we contact the supply, at that point, I wouldn't really be comfortable trading it. I still think we could get a move off of it, but I don't really think we get a massive move off of it. So if we push up from here, break the trend line, contact the supply, I think we could easily see a move off of that supply to push down, like I said, down to this daily area of demand, the rally base rally at 1.259. So in the meantime, 4 hour downtrend, 1 hour downtrend, which means 15-minute and 5-minute time frame shorts are both okay as long as these trend lines are holding, though that is very, very important. And like I said, if the trend line breaks, don't worry about it. We still have the supply above we could see a move off of. And again, profit margin is down to this daily area of demand. And am I saying to just buy this demand zone? No. What I'm saying is if we could easily react off of it to the upside, which means we could be looking for a confirmation trade off of this daily area demand. So for me personally, once we contact this daily demand, if we do, I'll be looking for a 1 hour confirmation trade to the long side as we move off of that daily area of demand on the GBPUSD. Alrighty, onto the USDCAD, the country that I am from. In case you guys did not know, I am from Canada. So I have the 4-chart layout here, not because there's trends on all time frames like we did in the USDJPY, but because there's no trend in the weekly chart. Just want to show you that, and there's no trend here in the daily chart. Yes, the overall momentum I would say is up, obviously, but I don't really like to look at momentum. I prefer to look at trend. I find it's much more reliable, at least as far as my trading goes. So unfortunately, there's nothing to go off of on the daily or the weekly chart, so we pretty much have to focus on the 4 hour chart and the 1 hour chart. Now, we did have this 1 hour demand zone. If you guys watched last week's forecast, you guys know we caught a beautiful trade off of that 4 hour area demand. Now we're coming in for the second test, and you've noticed we broke clearly below the previous test, and it's pushing up. Do I like to trade at tested zones? No. Let me know in the comments down below if you like to trade at tested zones. I personally do not, so I'm not really feeling super confident in this move to the upside. If we do break this demand zone, any 4-hour supply zone there, we could look for shorts off of that. But until then, I wouldn't really be looking for shorts at this point. Now, I did see something interesting. Again, remember, before I go to the 1-hour chart, remember, the 4-hour demand zone is in control. I like the fact that, I don't like that it's tested, but I like the fact that we kind of tested deeper into it. So I think we could actually still see a move off of this zone. And if you want to trade that, if you are bullish, we do have this 1-hour demand zone down at 1.368. So we definitely could see a move off of this 1-hour area demand. This 1-hour demand zone removed a beautiful picture perfect 1-hour downward trend line. So it is a pretty high quality demand zone. Beautiful drop, base, rally, nice move away, 2 big green candles. So it is a decent demand zone. It is a H1 confirmation as we come off of an H4 area demand. But the downside, like I said, is the H4 demand zone is tested. But we definitely could see a move off of it. So if you are bullish, this would be our little demand zone there. And if you want to be an extra cautious, which I recommend because of the fact that the H4 is tested, we could be looking for an extra 5-minute time frame day trading confirmation inside of that 1-hour area demand here on the USDCAD. All right, on to the AUD, the Aussie US dollar forecast. Now we do have a daily supply zone in control. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but look how much we have tested this supply. And not only that, we tested it previously once already. So multiple tests at this point. Do I think we'll be going down to this daily demand zone? I'm not really seeing a lot of evidence to suggest that. The reason I'm pointing out this daily supply and I'm pointing out the fact that it's very tested is I'm not putting a lot of confidence in it. Of course, anything's possible. We could react to the downside. But the reason I'm showing you this is because I actually see a potential decent setup on the 4-hour chart. Now, this setup definitely needs to be taken with a grain of salt. We can see supply zones. Well, actually, this supply zone worked beautifully. But this demand zone failed. This supply zone actually worked for a bit. This demand zone failed, and this demand zone failed. So it's about 50-50 at this point. This supply zone failed. So it's like 50-50, actually more losses than wins. This was a win. So it's basically 50-50, maybe a little bit less. So, and the reason it's 50-50 in my opinion is because look at the overall structure here. It is clearly just going sideways. And I personally, if you've been following my channel for a bit, I really do not like to trade in a sideways market. That's just me. You guys definitely can. And like the reason I'm telling you this is because we have a pretty nice rally area of demand on the 4-hour chart at 0.6626. So we are headed to there. I love the move away. It's a beautiful, very aggressive move away, and it removes supply. So I think we easily could react off of that demand zone to the upside. So that would be my target there. And again, if you want to play it more conservative based on the fact that this is sideways, like look, if this was an uptrend and we were pulling back to a beautiful 4-hour demand zone, I wouldn't say play it safe. But if you want to play it safe, you could be looking for the extra confirmation on the 50-minute or the 5-minute time frame as we come off of this demand zone on the 4-hour chart. Now, let's say whether or not we hit the zone or not, or maybe we just push up from here, if we remove this supply zone there, it is proven supply, which I really like if it is removed, and then any 4-hour demand zone there, we could definitely look for longs off of that. Now, another option here. If we remove the low, obviously the demand will be removed as well. Then we'll have a beautiful 4-hour downtrend. And at that point, we could be looking for the day trading shorts. And then, if we do break both of those, any H4 supplies on there, we could look for shorts off of. I know this might take a bit to play out. I just like to give you guys things to look at into the future. I can't predict what's going to exactly happen, but I'm just pointing out if we do remove the lows and the demands, that's what I'd be looking for as well. And obviously, again, if we remove this high, any 4-hour zone would be good, but also we'll have a 4-hour uptrend and you could be adding day trading longs. So I'm not really looking for day trading longs at this point unless you want to look for confirmation in there, because we don't really have a trend. That's kind of the issue. Unlike the pound and the euro and stuff, we actually have trends, so that there's more to do. But as far as the Aussie goes, I'm really just looking at this 4-hour area of demand at the 0.66 area. But remember, trade with caution because the daily supply is in control. Like I said, it is very tested, so it's not super, I'm not saying it's super likely we drop from the supply, but it's definitely something to consider. So it could be a time, especially since it's sideways in the 4-hour chart, to maybe risk a little bit less. Maybe don't risk that full 1% there if you do, in fact, feel like getting long around that 4-hour area of demand here on the Aussie US dollar. All right, on to the USDCHF. A little bit of top-down analysis here. We're going to go back a little bit. You can see we had a beautiful, picture-perfect weekly downward trend line. So it was a downward trend. And then all of a sudden, we broke above the downward trend line. We removed supply. And what did we remove that with? With this rally-based rally demand zone, and we are clearly seeing a reaction off of it at 0.8878. So the higher time frame is showing us we should, in theory, be going up. So on the 4-hour chart, we actually got our confirmation down here at 0.884. Unfortunately, it doesn't really look like we're pulling back down to there, but this would be our 4-hour confirmation trade. So you guys have heard me mention confirmation a few times in this video, mostly for day trading, but it's the same thing. Let's say the higher time frame was an H1 and we were looking for 5-minute time frame confirmation. This would be it right here. We broke a downward trend line, leaving us with a beautiful drop base rally demand zone. I'm not crazy about how long we spent here, but it is a beautiful move away. We definitely could see a move off of that 4-hour area of demand. Now, another option is to, if we remove this supply zone there, that would be pretty bullish in my opinion. In any 4-hour demand zone there, we could basically do the same thing that we would do here, look for longs off of like that. So the two options for longs, like I said, pull back down to the demand zone like this, or removing this 4-hour area of supply. And the profit targets would be to this daily supply at 0.90. So that would be our short-term profit targets. Long-term profit targets would be actually above this daily supply, because the weekly demand is in control, and technically weekly demand is stronger than daily supply. However, I think we could easily react off of these supply zones. So if you are bearish, you guys know I like to give out both perspectives. I really wouldn't be shorting until we can hit this 4-hour supply at 0.90. I still think it's pretty decent. I think we could easily see a move off of that supply zone. So that's what I'd be looking at for shorts only. I would not be shorting at any point now until we can actually hit that 4-hour area of supply that I am pointing out. So again, the weekly demand zone's in control. Things are looking pretty bullish in my opinion. That's why we either need to wait for a long entry down there or wait for supply zones to be taken out for potential longs again here on the USD Swiss. And remember, I don't really think we're going to get a massive move off of this supply zone. I just think it's an area to get a quick 2-to-1, 1-to-1 short trade if you are in fact bearish there on the USD Swiss franc. Last but not least, we are on to crude oil. So you guys know I was pointing out this daily demand zone. Go back to March, and you can see I was pointing out this daily demand zone. So supply and demand is really king, guys. Any strategy can work, but honestly, I love supply and demand. Maybe that's a little biased because I trade it. I get that. That's fine. But I just love seeing these beautiful moves off of the zones. Picture perfect. Caught that knife, that falling knife. A little bit risky, but whatever. But anyways, the daily downward trend line was removed. We now have two areas of demand on the daily chart at 78.70 and 76.46. So do I think we're going to pull back down to there? I think it's very possible. I'm not seeing any evidence of that right now, but I just want to point out, if we do start to see some downward pressure, I think we could easily react off of any one of these demand zones. I think they're two great areas to look for longs off of. Let's say we break this demand zone. That's fine with me. I wouldn't really change my perspective. I think we could react off the zone lower at 76.46. So that is the daily chart. I think it's possible. Supply and demand kind of acts as a magnet in my opinion. So I think it's possible we do, like I said, react off of those daily zones if we do push down to them. Again, I'm not seeing a lot of evidence to suggest we will be. The evidence I would need to see is at least this demand zone removed. If we remove both of these, okay. I mean, actually, I think this zone is inside of that. But if we start to remove this demand zone, at that point, I probably think we will react down at that to that daily demand zone. So in the meantime, there are a couple options here. We really, on the 4-hour chart, I like the 4-hour zones here. We have a 4-hour demand at 80.20. I like that zone for potential longs. And again, any one of these zones, you could look for extra confirmation on a 15-minute or 5-minute time frame. So this would be our nearest 4-hour demand zone we could look for longs off of. If not, we have one a little bit lower at 78.72. We could look for a long off of that drop base rally as well. And if not, we have one all the way down at 76.26. This is inside of that daily demand zone as well. So it's pretty much as simple as that. Beautiful areas of demand that all remove supply zones. I really, really like them. If you want to get a little bit more aggressive, okay, this demand zone on the 1-hour chart is tested, but as long as this upper trend line is holding, we could be looking for 5-minute time frame longs, but that is it. I would stay away from the 15-minute time frame longs and just stick to the 5-minute time frame longs as long as this 1-hour trend line is holding. But ultimately, I think the higher odd situation is to wait for some of these demand zones to be hit on the 4-hour chart here on crude oil. So again, looking really, really strong, but don't be worried if you start to really pull back, because remember, we have a couple beautiful rally-based rally demand zones on the daily chart that are kind of going to act as a backstop on oil. And if you guys want to watch the full-length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.